I know you can work out from home, and sometimes I did that when I felt like, okay, it's fine, I won't go to the gym today. And also, I felt that he was safe there. So, so in that day that I was in the cell group, the lady said, the principal of the school said that she asked her son. Her son is is the pastor of the church. So she asked her son to check not the son that stays with her, the pastor of the church. She asked the son to check the surveillances to see any of this. So when the pastor checked, he said he checked, then he saw the boys going into the area where there's a doghouse, behind the doghouse. But that area behind the doghouse is not covered by the cameras. You can only see the doghouse, but behind the doghouse you can't see. So that's where they were. So he says yes, they went there, but then he saw Ingo coming out, which is my son, coming out running, and then a few minutes later he saw the other boy. But then also saw me at that time. He saw me coming into the gate, and then that's when we met. But he says he didn't see anything else, and that's where he left it. So, in the conversations, like on the WhatsApp, I have all of them, the pastor and the wife and everyone else. They knew of this because they were told, but then nobody reached out to me to say, oh, this is the situation. How would you like us to handle it? Is there anything we could do from our side? What are you expecting? Something like that. Nobody said anything. And then that was the day that thing happened. And then in the morning, I didn't know what to do, so I took him back in the morning. I went to work, but then when I was sitting, I think 1 or 2 hours sitting there at work, I couldn't concentrate, and I thought, what if it happens again? I know the chances of it happening again are very low because the other boys at school, and there's a lot of children during the day, and there's a lot of people moving around. The reason why it could have been easy for that thing to happen at that time, it was because it was late and all the other children were gone. So it was the principal and the child that stays within the yard that were there. So it was quiet, but I couldn't. I couldn't. I spoke with my manager and I told him I'm not feeling well. I wasn't feeling well for real. And then I had to go. Then I left and I told him that I'm going to work from home. I went to the church at the creche. The creche and the church is in one yard, but they're just different building. I went to the creche and I picked up my son. I picked him up. I think it was around 10 or 11. I picked him up and then I asked for anything of his that was there. And then even in the morning when I went to drop him, I didn't see the principal. She avoided me. But every day for 2 years, she was the one receiving my son for 2 whole years. But that day, she didn't. She avoided me. And even on the day that, day after I confronted her about this incident, she couldn't look me in the eye. And then I took my son. I went home with him, and that's when I decided that he's not going back there. I don't know what I'm going to do, but he's not going back there. And then I started asking people, and then I remember there's this lady in Khayelitsha. She's got a soup kitchen and a creche. We used to go to the same church together, and I asked her, and I told her the situation. I asked her, can she accommodate my son for a week? Because I had made a plan with my sister. My sister in the Eastern Cape said her daughter, a younger daughter, can come for the holidays to look after my son, because we were going to, before we close for December, and go to the Eastern Cape. So I said, okay, that's a good idea. Then we arranged. So I had 1 week that I didn't know what am I going to do with my son. So I took him to that lady. I would drop him off in the morning every day, Khayelitsha, every day before I go to work, and after work I would pick him up. And then that's how it happened. And then on the day that I pulled my son, like on the next day, I pulled my son out. Then I think around 5, so now it's the third day, around 5, and then I decided, and I that told that lady that I'm not gonna be bringing my son back there. And then she was like, okay, you're not gonna be bringing your son, but it's fine, you can take him out, but can you keep him until payday December, because can you keep him until payday December, because I already promised my teacher's bonus. And I'm like, so not even I'm sorry from you, but you telling me about your teacher. She's like, okay, it's fine, you can take him out, but can you keep him for December, so you can pay for December. And I was like, oh, so this is about money. You only care about money. And I didn't say it to her. And I was like, I'm sorry that this is affecting you financially, but I'm taking my son out. And then she said, but she already promised her workers bonus. I didn't respond to her. And then she had messages that she sent. I don't even think I looked at her messages. But then I found that when I went again to our chats between her and I, she deleted all the chats, which after the math, deleted all the chats. Maybe somebody spoke with her. It was 3 days after, I then went out on all the groups, the church groups, the group where we send our proof of payments for the tithe, the group for the ushers, the group for the fundraisers, the group where we send the proof of payments for the utilities, because we paid our tithe, which is the 10th of our salaries. We paid money to help with the facilities, which is the municipal bill. We paid money to help with that. And also if there's something broken, like a gate or a speaker is broken, we would pay money into a different group. I went out, and then I had the ushers group, and then I had the fundraising group. I went out on all of those groups. Went out, and then guess what? The wife of the pastor, maybe 10 or 5 minutes after I went out of the group, she's like, hi Sister Nonzu, how are you? Like, I'm good, on WhatsApp. And she's like, the pastor and I, we saw you went out of the groups. The pastor and I would like to have a meeting with you. We'd like to meet with you and have a chat. And I was like, my husband is not here. I'm gonna meet with you when my husband is back. I'll let you know when he's back. And right there, I knew my husband was coming back. I think he was coming back on a Friday. But I knew I wasn't going to meet with them, because what are we going to discuss now? Because you had 3 days to ask me. You know about an incident that might have happened. I'm not saying believe my son, but I believe my son. My job is to believe my son. You can believe your adopted child. It's fine. That is your job. But I expected empathy or professionalism from them, or something, to say that we heard about this thing, and is there anything that you expect from us? What are you going to do? What is the next step? But they kept quiet and they swept it under the rug. So I was like, okay, I can't be associated with people like this. You were good to me at some point, but you're not good to me now. Yes, I've learned a lot from you. Thank you for the lessons learned. Thank you for your generosity. But it's not, it ends here. So I decided I'm not going to speak with them. I blocked all of them. And then it was that. Blocked them, and I kept it moving. One would ask, why didn't you call the police? Why didn't you open a case? Why did you do that? I could have done that. But I didn't want to put my son through that, because I wasn't there. My son was there. My son would be put on the stand to say this thing, and this would drag on for years and years, and I didn't want to traumatize my son. And I know our justice system is never ever for the victim. The victims are dragged in court, and they were asked uncomfortable questions. So I didn't want to put my son through that.